So this one by far was my favorite one yet. What's up everybody? Good to see you and welcome back to the channel. And this short, if you have not seen it, this is the perfect time to pause and go check out our brand new short that we just dropped last Monday. It is called Assimilate. And this video that we're going to be doing here is what we call the wrap up. It's the series that we do after we finish a short. That way we can kind of show what went into it and what we learned from it. So if you have not seen Assimilate yet, go check that out, like it, leave a comment, and then come back here and watch the behind the scenes kind of deal. Now that you've left and come back, or you had already seen it, dude, this one was so friggin' fun to shoot, to write, to do everything for. I'm not gonna delay the inevitable here. We're gonna jump right into it first, starting with the gear and then kind of the story of the shoot and then the lessons of what we learned. So let's get into it. So the gear we use, this section's always going to be pretty easy to record because I'm currently on a journey right now where I am just using basically the same base camera and lens and building everything else around it. However, we did have a brand new piece of gear that we're going to talk about today. So easy peasy, we did the Sony FX3, my pride, my joy, my only camera, and we had the Sony 24-70 G Master Lens Series 2, the f2.8. Those are basically always going to be consistent. I don't plan on buying another lens anytime soon. I know there's a bunch of really cool lenses out there, but I'm trying to master my craft with what I have, and I feel like I can make everything I want to make within this focal range for now. Now on the top of the camera, I had my top handle on so that I could mount my Atomos Ninja 5 monitor, which I almost always have up there. And that is, again, pretty much another staple of all the shoots. However, when it came to the camera gear, we did have a brand new piece of gear on the front of the lens. We put on the Tiffin Black Pro Mist 1/8 filter. And again, that's probably going to live on the front of the filter to really help with kind of the contrast of our images and make it feel a little bit more, I hate to use the word, but cinematic, if you will. It's going to help us get the image that we want. And I think it really came in clutch during the shoot, which I'll talk about as we go. Also, as an added bonus, my VND, my ND filter, can also screw into the Tiffin filter. So there's literally no reason for me to ever take this thing back off my lens unless it's just not giving us the vibe that we want. Past that, we used my SmallRig 8001 tripod. I am still loving this thing. I just wish it had the top grip kind of adjuster thing, but honestly, for the money, it's been wonderful and it helped us get some key shots. And truthfully, as far as camera gear goes, that was it. We took a panel light, but really didn't have a great use for it, and it didn't really fit with what we wanted it to do. And we took the gimbal, but we never threw it on there, and honestly, I like how it came out. So as far as camera gear, we only brought one other thing. The only other piece of equipment that we brought with us were our DJI mics, and that was for recording audio. However, none of the audio that you heard in the short was actually recorded during the shooting of the short, and I'll talk about that when I talk about the shoot. But as far as gear goes, that's it. The only big other thing I would say thank you to is thank you to Cade. If you guys don't know Cade, go watch our Meet the Team video that I can link here. However, Cade let us use his SUV. We originally planned the shoot around my little Honda Civic. However, Dream is a giant 6'4" and more. And so getting in and out of my little Honda Civic was not as comfortable and it had less room. And so Cade let us use his SUV for more maneuverability inside, as well as ease for Dream to get out in and out with the multiple takes that we did. So as far as equipment goes, thanks Cade, appreciate you letting us use your car. So now with all the boring stuff out of the way, let's get to the shoot. So Assimilated was actually previously known as, until the edit basically, it was previously known as Body Snatchers #1. I kind of have been writing this for a little while, and I went through a lot of different variations, which is why there's going to be a sequel. Hint, hint, nod, nod. But it's a story I've been working on that was inspired kind of by this War of the Worlds / invasion of the body snatchers type deal. So what I wanted to accomplish with the shoot were two different things. The first one was I wanted to create a cohesive story that was self-contained and had zero character like spoken dialogue. The second thing I wanted to learn was I wanted to see how much we've learned when it came to preparation. We came in with a shot list. We came in way prepared for this one. and how that would affect the shoot. And I have honestly some great positive feedback to talk about that. So in pre-production, well before our shoot date, again, I spent a lot of time kind of writing this idea and really tailoring it down to something that could only use what we had without spending any money, and was still a good little self-contained story. I outlined exactly what I wanted to happen, how I wanted it to happen, what I wanted it to look like, and kind of as well how we were going to execute it without having a script, because again, there's no spoken dialogue. So I wanted it to be as precise as possible, including creating a shot list. If you're unfamiliar with what a shot list is, it's literally a list of all of the shots that you want to capture on the day for your project to make the final edit. So initially when I thought of it and conceptualized this project, it was actually going to be a one take, a oneer of just the guy getting in the car talking. There was none of the pre stuff. There was none of the open door thing. There was none of that going on. And it was going to be delivered by a news broadcaster as opposed to like an emergency alert system. However, once I applied the logic test is what I call it, it made no sense that a random newscaster would interrupt a radio broadcast, especially one just kind of playing music. But I did think back to being a kid and like listening to the radio with my dad, and then with like a weather alert system just kind of interrupted the music with those specific like emergency alert system alarms, and how creepy it would be if I was able to integrate that into our shoot. So after I realized that, I realized I needed two things. One, I needed to create a emergency alert system broadcast alert thing that Dream could react to in live time. Second of all, I realized that I needed to find a way to be able to have him react to every bit of the one take segment. That way, when we did our shots, we could record the entire process in one big line without having to do a bunch of cuts, and we could do multiple takes from multiple angles, just letting the audio play. So starting with the fact that I needed to create something, I just went to YouTube and looked up emergency alert system videos. And honestly, what I found out is there's an entire side of YouTube that makes fake emergency alert systems for a bunch of different kinds of alerts, alien invasions and diseases and World War III and SCP stuff. It's crazy the kind of videos that are actually out there. So after deciding the language that I wanted to use and how I wanted to go about this, I found a free text-to-speech software on the internet that I could copy and paste my broadcast into, and it would read it for me, but I couldn't even download it. So I used OBS. If you're not familiar with open broadcast software, a lot of streamers and YouTubers use it. I can explain that in a different video, but I used OBS to record it and be able to keep the audio that I was having played back. Now, once I did that, I decided it didn't feel authentic enough to me personally. And so what I did after that is I took it into Audacity and I doctored it a little bit. I slowed down the speed and messed with the pitch, and I added the alert sound in there as well. And what we came out with was kind of what you heard in the final product, except for one little twist I'll get to in a second. So as I sat there and I had my finished alarm, what I realized is that I also wanted to have, I didn't want Dream, who's the main actor in the video. If you haven't met him, he's my roommate and my best friend and my brother, and if you go watch the Meet the Team video and you'll learn more about him. But I didn't want him to have to question anything. I wanted to give him everything on the day so it was easier for him to react and to do everything he needed to do, and give him the best tools I could give him as a director to do the best performance that he could do. So I actually added in the copyright free music you hear play, like when the car starts. The radio music that plays was actually baked into the recording he was also listening to. So from the time he got in the car and started the car until the end of the shot, he knew exactly what was going on, and he could hear it all playing actually over a phone in the car. And there's a reason we chose to do it that way. So with the new emergency broadcast recorded and done and ready to go, and that whole audio file ready for shoot day, I doctored my script to kind of match that. Instead of the radio host version, I rewrote it with the emergency broadcast system, added a little bit of creepy elements like the open door, the invisibility, all that kind of stuff, and created a complete shot list from top to bottom of everything I wanted to get shots of, and even like repeat shots, stuff like walking with it handheld and walking with it on a gimbal, it'll being a locked off shot on the tripod, insert shots that that I wanted to have while he was in the car. That way, no matter what, we had all the footage that we were gonna need when it came time to edit. So once I got all that in place, it was time to schedule the shoot. And honestly, it all came together rather well. We decided to meet after work on a Friday and get out there and shoot this short. Even, you know, making sure everyone was aware we were going to do it maybe late into the night. And it kind of worked out pretty well. So when we scheduled the shoot, we had a few days until that Friday arrived. So I kind of made my own little gear list and made sure I had it all kind of quarantined and sectioned a few days before. That way I didn't lose anything, or, you know, I didn't forget anything. And once we kind of, you know, made sure everything was in place, we were ready to go. The Tiffin filter arrived, which I didn't expect it to get here so early. And so it got here and I was super excited. We were going to be able to use it on the short, but I didn't get to test it before we actually went out and shot the short. I got it, and that very night I was super busy all the way up until bedtime, and then I had work the next day. So I didn't do any test shots or preparation with the Tiffin filter, and I just kind of trusted that it would, I don't recommend this, but trusted it would do what it was advertised to do. And honestly, I can say that it did not disappoint. It did exactly what I was hoping it would do. It made our images really beautiful, and I love the stills that we've gotten out of this shot. So finally, shoot day rolled around, and after work, right around 6, everyone was in the house and we were eating dinner. And one major lack of preparation became quickly apparent was that we never actually figured out where we were going to shoot this. I had a general image in my mind that I wanted it to take place outside of a fast food joint. McDonald's was actually my original choice. And then, you know, that there was a reason that he was out and about at what would be past 1 a.m. if you listen to that alarm. And I was like, okay, so what's open that late? And I realized we had to figure this out, or we would maybe have to do complete reshoots or rewrites on where this happened. So me and the boys jumped into the car and went driving around my town, looking literally every single, it was getting later in the evening, so we were kind of getting an idea of maybe what would be there, looking at the lights and stuff. We went to every single drive-through restaurant that would be open later in the night to see which one fit our needs and what we wanted to do. And it became so incredibly apparent when we went to Burger King that the lighting, the amount of parking space in the front, it being right by the road and kind of giving us some free production value out there, the way the sign lit up, everything just screamed this is where it had to happen. We had like 4 or 5 backups, but we knew we wanted to shoot it at the front entrance of this Burger King in my town. So with the location locked down and ready to go, we returned to the house. We packed up the kit, got both cars together. The last minute, again, suggestion by Cade. He kind of saved the day there. And everyone went on this shoot. It was me, it was Dream, it was Cade, it was my wife, Kelly, and it was my 7-year-old son, Tavi. Like, yeah, he was out with us until midnight or so because he really just liked being a part of all this, and he wanted to be a part of the shoot. And so we all went out together for this shoot. So we rolled into BK right around 9:30 p.m. and I would say we got immediately to work, but I will say that the beginning of the production was vastly slowed down because of me. Truthfully, it took me a while to kind of get everything set up for the area we were in, and so locking in my settings and figuring out what framing I want and what compositions I want and where the best place to park the car to get the lights how we wanted them to be, because again, we have no light to take on this shoot except for a little panel light, which, hold on a sec, this guy, like, he's small, he's mighty, he's brave, and he can be like super duper bright. I don't know what it's turned to right now. It's only set to 25% right now. But like, we had this, but like, we just didn't have a great place to use it or to do what we needed to do. So we relied completely on the natural light available to us. And so that took some time to set up. And again, that was my bad for not doing better production scouting, location scouting, and also I'm still kind of new. I'll talk about that in the lessons. Let's move on with the story. However, once we got that all figured out, once I realized exactly my settings and kind of where I wanted to shoot and how I needed to do things, we went from there. We just started trucking. We did figure out the whole Honda Civic versus the SUV that was on hand, and like how hard it was for Dream to get in and out of one and not the other. So we switched the cars, we parked it where we decided we were going to park it, and we got to filming basically in chronological order of what you see in the short. Oh yeah, also shout out to Burger King. One, we did buy actual nuggets before we started like the actual shoot part. But 2, thank you for not kicking us out, because we were there shooting with no prior We may or may not have had approvals. This may have been a little gorilla. And also, you know, we got our boy Nuggets, so he stayed fed. So thanks for not kicking us out and thanks for feeding us. Appreciate that. Now, with all that said, like I said in the beginning, this is one of the most fun shoots I've ever been on. It was so very gorilla. And the whole time wondering, like, is Burger King gonna come out and yell at us? Is the cops gonna show up and say we had to leave? Are people gonna be jerk holes as they're going through the drive-through? Like, what's gonna happen? So we tried to stay out of the way as much as possible, and we were out of the way as much as possible, except for maybe 2 shots. And we had 0 problems the entire shoot from anybody. Nobody interrupted us. Like I said earlier, we didn't have any professional audio equipment, and so we chose to focus completely on the image at hand and then worry about like using all of our audio and sound design in post to make our short come to life. We filmed so much more than we needed and did a lot of takes and stuff that never ended up in the short, but that's kind of the good thing, right? If you're editing correctly, not everything should end up in the short, and we put together what I think is the best version of what we could with what we shot. Everybody was all hands on deck, including my son. It was just Dream knocked out the performance. Cade was Johnny on the spot where I needed him and whatever I needed help with. Kel was bringing me equipment, running back and forth, and also keeping Tavi focused up. Tavi was helping with anything and everything that he could, climbing in the car, hiding, holding stuff. It was awesome. And this process is what gives me life. And this is why I love filmmaking so much, other than the stories that I want to tell. So once we wrapped on shooting, like I said, none of the audio that you heard during the short was actually shot during the filming of the short. We packed up all the equipment and Kel went ahead and headed home. She was getting tired. So the 4 of us boys just, we stayed behind. I broke out the DJI mic and we recorded all of the Foley and background noise that we could. We recorded all the ambient noise outside the car. We recorded all the ambient noise inside the car. We recorded footsteps, bag shuffling and ruffling, engine starting, ambient like engine running sounds, keys jingling, anything that you can think of, we recorded post shoot on my little wireless DJI mics. So I highly recommend, this is not an ad, I'm not you know, sponsored, but these little guys are super insanely awesome. If you have not heard of these or whatever, they're honestly priced a bit, but like these things are continually saving my life in this indie short film era until I get real equipment that I feel comfortable recording dialogue on. So probably one of the biggest things, in my opinion, that we recorded on the DJI mics that I feel like really sold the short is we played the entirety of the emergency broadcast audio inside the car and recorded it with the DJI mic just held into the middle of the car. And what this did for us is it gave us an authentic feel and an authentic listen to what Dream heard as he was the character in the car listening, and gave the vibe like that authentic coming from a car speaker sound. So when the emergency broadcast thing went off, it triggered some like fight or flight like reflexes in me hearing it. But it sold the short for me, because if you go back and listen to it, maybe I'll put it in here. If you listen to it with the emergency broadcast audio from the car, and then that same broadcast with the clean version that I made on my computer, it just completely changes it from a diegetic sound that it puts you in the ears of the character, or having a track overlaid on what's going on.
The following is a broadcast via the National Emergency Broadcast System concerning a significant threat to public health and safety. The following is a broadcast via the National Emergency Broadcast System concerning a significant threat to public health and safety.
So with that said, only two things in this entire short were not recorded by us. That includes footage and sounds and everything. 1, I forgot to record the door locking sound that you hear when Dream locks the door.
Do not go outside.
And then 2, I didn't record the jump scare sound that's taken from some royalty-free mix that someone released on YouTube. Thank you to this channel. I'll put it somewhere. I appreciate it. Thank you so much. We used the sound from this video, just rip that audio. So other than that, everything was 100% us, and it was one of the coolest and biggest coordinated and prepared shoots that I've ever created. However, even with all that preparation, there's still things you're gonna run into. You know, like kind of we talked about in previous videos and lessons I learned, but you can be completely prepared and still have things go awry. So to wrap up the video, let's talk about the lessons that I learned. So lesson number 1 is serve the story. Truthfully, when I finally brought everything back into the edit, like I told you, we shot way more than we needed, and that actually ended up being kind of scary. I was overwhelmed and I wanted to use everything because we spent the time to record 2 takes per position on that last bit. So 2 times from the front, 2 times from the side, 2 times from the left, and all these insert shots and all these little stunts that we did, and I wanted to use it all, and I felt like I was obligated to use it all, and I got so overwhelmed I had to step away. And in that time when I stepped away and was taking a breather, I remembered kind of one of the most, if not the most important cinematic film rule that you can learn, and that is do everything that you do in service of the story, and everything else is secondary. And let me tell you, once I remembered this and kind of went down this path, it made my life so much easier. It didn't matter how many angles we took or what we did, or oh, we put a lot of time into this shot. It didn't matter. The only things that made it into the final edit were the shots that I believe told the story in the most cohesive and visually correct ways possible. And even with being overwhelmed and being prepared and having all my notes, I was so over prepared, it was overwhelming, and I had to kind of reset myself to this: only put in there what matters. So the second lesson that I really wanted to take away from this was be the director. One of the biggest things I did this time was, after we did all of the editing and we exported it, it was ready to go, I followed up with each and every single member of the team and asked them, okay, how did I do as a director? Did I communicate what I needed to communicate? Did you feel like you understood what I wanted from you or what I needed in each moment? And thankfully, I don't know if they're just gassing me up, but thankfully each of them came back with an overwhelmingly positive review, or whatever answer, whatever you want to call it. And they were very honest, which was awesome. And they told me, this is what I need from you when we're doing these things. If I'm in this role, this is what I want. And we had that very honest and candid conversation together, which was honestly enlightening to me and my future projects. They all mentioned how the process felt collaborative, and I asked them about basically their area of expertise and what should happen and all that fun stuff. And they in turn felt like they were part of the project and also understood that we were driving towards a specific vision and how to achieve that vision. Thankfully, we're walking away from it. Even my 7-year-old said he had a really good time. So I'm walking away with a lesson that I feel confident to be the director, at least of my little crew. We'll see what happens when we add more people. Finally, the last lesson I'm walking out of this shoot with is don't be so scared. Sometimes I've realized that no matter what, no matter how much preparation, no matter how many lists and shot lists and everything else, no matter what time I've put into it, is I'm still unsure of myself as a filmmaker and a director. I have so much to learn, and I just now feel really comfortable about the short that we put out, even recognizing that some things didn't turn out great inside that short. But it delays me sometimes when I second guess myself like that, and it wastes the time of those people around me. So when it comes to shoot day, be collaborative, ask those questions, and be open to changing and doing whatever we need to do. However, I need to not be so scared to kick things off. I feel like the whole first hour I wasted for us because I was just trying to what would be the perfect framing, what would be the best lighting, all this, which we need to do, but you also need to shoot your film. You need to get it done. And as you hear everywhere on YouTube, and a good finished project is always better than a perfect unposted, unfinished project. And so I had to trust myself, and I'm learning to trust my gut, and I'm learning that yes, I can be wrong. Obviously, I'm not learning that. I know that, but I'm learning to, on the day when people are counting on me to move forward, that I need to not be so scared, and that these people have placed their trust in me, and I have a vision and I can achieve that vision. And I think gaining that confidence is something that's going to take me a while, but that's a big lesson that I picked up from this shoot. So all in all, this was one of the best experiences in filmmaking I've ever had. I had an absolute fantastic time, and it seems like my team did too. So we've had a wonderful time, and this one's kind of in the books. This was the wrap up for that. So if you have any questions that I didn't answer here, put those down in the comments below. Let me know and I will answer those in the comments. If you have any questions about the shoot or what happened or anything in the story, anything like that. If you don't have any questions, you enjoy the video, make sure you hit that like button. And if you want to come along for this journey as we release more shorts films and then wrap ups for those short films and all this, hit the subscribe button. We have a lot of that coming. I have like 2 years of plans in the books, and plans change, but we got them. So we're going to be around, so we would love to have you along for that journey. Also, you know, like I kind of confirmed earlier, there's going to be a somewhat sequel to this. I don't know how to say, it's not a direct sequel, but an in-universe video that's coming soon, so be on the lookout for that. I'm very excited to share that with you. I don't, you know, not all my content's going to be in this universe, but I had a really good short that I think we can pull off. So be looking for that video as well. Now, before we go, I do want to thank all of the patrons: Dr. Bob, Daddy Fries, True Impact, and Ninja Claws. You guys continually support. Thank you so much for doing that, and it gives us the extra funds we need to get these, you know, these videos to the quality we want them to. It's enabling us to get gear. It's crazy. So if you want to join the Patreon and join that support system, check out the links in the description below. It's down there. We'd love to have you, and it's got a whole bunch of perks that you can check out as well. But to you four, thank you guys. You are incredible. You all know that I love you dearly. So thank you for sticking around to the video. Please be kind, be safe, have a good time out there, and we will see you in the next video.
You having a good time?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Do you think Dream's having a good time?
Yes.
The most important thing about this shot,
What?
the chicken wrap.
So weird.
He's just like his dad. Same person.